That was a terrible start. Good morning, Moorings Park, and welcome to another episode of your favorite health and wellness talk show, Talking Wellness. I'm your host, Robert Sorensen. Today, or when you're viewing this, the week of August 31st. I'd like to welcome my co-host to the show. Yes, we are now using the term co-host. She's been consistent enough, Daniela Lorio. Daniela, welcome.
Hello, hello. Thank you.
And today we're joined to speak on something that both of us are wearing right now. And that is athletic gear, or more specifically, athletic clothing.
That is correct.
This is a billion-dollar business at this point in time. It's something that we see our residents wearing every single day. It's used for comfort. It's used for activity. It's used to dress up in.
Convenience.
Athletic gear at this point in time runs the full gambit. And for this week's episode, we wanted to speak a little bit about the background, the history of athletic gear, where to source some of the higher quality or alternative athletic gear, and then break down some of the different makers of athletic gear, because there are plenty.
So many.
A lot of different options. So a brief history on sportswear and athletic apparel. Originally, athletes did not wear athletic apparel.
That is correct.
They preferred fashion over function.
Yes.
So back in I would say the late 1800s, early 1900s, some of the athletic competitions, horseback riding, polo, you would see people participate dressing up to a T. Mm-hmm. You know, these articles of clothing had to be finely crafted and then delicately taken care of before and after use.
That's correct. You can even see it in things like horse racing. A lot of people who even attend the events are still dressing up a lot like they did back in the day.
We're going to say gussied up for the occasion.
Gussied up.
So that has sailed. That ship has sailed. Large in part to some of the movements in the early to mid 1900s, where people began to participate and get a little bit more competitive in the tennis scene. Mm-hmm. I know tennis skirts emerged in the early 1950s, or prior to that, women were wearing pants. They realized pants aren't so comfortable to play tennis in, so introduced the tennis skirt, and then eventually tennis shorts. Running at that point in time was becoming more mainstream, so we saw Nike emerge with more running apparel, and over the course of time, it's just increased their foothold in society. Where now I wouldn't even think of going out for a run wearing a polo shirt.
Oh, that's so true. I mean, you can also look at the Olympics. The Olympics became a huge event. You can't run or throw things around if your pants are too tight or your shirt's too tight and you can't move. Your athletic ability is going to be cut in half at that point.
It sure is. Alongside the explosion of sports apparel, we've seen a lot of different technical fabrics emerge in which sports apparel is used. And I think all of these new fabrics is really what's increased their wear, because they're super comfortable.
Exactly. So you're going to be active. When you look for active clothing, they're generally designed to be loose fitting so you can move around, breathable, comfortable, versatile. So a couple of the different technical fabrics that they've come out with over time. First and foremost, we all know what spandex is. It's stretchy. It'll fit just about anyone. It'll mold to your body. Once you wash it, it'll retain its shape. Easy breezy. Getting a little more technical and a little more environmentally friendly, there's also clothing made out of bamboo or tencel. Now, these are made from a wooden, bamboo is wood, or a tree, and they mill it up, make it into a pulp to where they can use it in a fabric, and it gives you that lightweight feeling. It's absorbent. It pushes your sweat to the surface of your clothing so it can be wicked away for moisture.
And bamboo is my preferred material for socks. Of all the different materials that socks are now being sewn into, bamboo I have found to be great to prevent blisters. It's comfortable, it's cool, and it doesn't retain water.
And it's also wrinkle resistant, which is
And
awesome.
environmentally friendly.
That is true. Reduce, reuse, and recycle. Alrighty, so the next one, we all know this one. It's just about in almost every fabric you wear. Cotton. Cotton is nice, breathable, soft. It doesn't get rough, but it can shrink depending on how you wash and dry your cotton.
And if there's anyone who remembers the show Seinfeld, when George Costanza became the general manager for the Yankees, and he switched all of their Yankee uniforms from, I believe he had some sort of nylon. He switched all their uniforms over to cotton, and all the players were falling over on the field with sweat exhaustion and tightening uniforms. George got himself in a lot of trouble for that one.
Yeah.
So cotton, maybe not the best choice for heat involvement.
Yeah, if you're going to be doing something light, not sweating so much, if you got a comfortable cotton t-shirt, why not? Next up, we have nylon. Just like you mentioned, nylon is a general mix of fabrics. It's stretchy, can be used in a lot of different things. And then we also have propylene, which is water resistant. So that's going to help from keeping that sweat sticking to your body. It'll help with that evaporation and that cooling. We also have merino wool. So I know when everyone thinks of wool, I think of that and itchy. But it's not. Merino wool is specifically designed so that it's thermal, yet breathable, and it's also odor resistant.
And merino wool is the #1 material that you'll see in people who do a lot of hiking or long distance activities for those 2 reasons Daniela just stated. Breathable, water resistant, doesn't stink.
Exactly. Next up, we have X-Static. So X-Static is a specific type of material that has heavy metals woven into it, specifically silver. So by incorporating these heavy metals into it, it does similar to the merino wool where it's antimicrobial, so it will be won't retain those stinky, sweaty odors.
And we're beginning to see that type of material come under a number of different names depending on who's using it and manufacturing it.
Exactly. So you also have heard the term dry fit. The term dry fit is specifically owned by Nike. So that's why when you hear dry fit, oh, Nike. Other brands have different names for the things that they come out with that are a similar material.
Lululemon, Silverescent.
Yes. And then the last one we have Econyl, I think is how you pronounce it. And it's actually made from recycled nylon. So they make it into brand new clothing. And then when people are done with those clothes, they can actually be recycled again. So again, reduce, reuse, recycle.
Yeah, we love when things can be repurposed.
Yes. Yes, we do.
So for the most part, all of these different materials, well, I shouldn't say for the most part, all of these different materials need to be laundered.
Yes.
Everything develops bacteria after use, and active wear specifically develops and harbors more bacteria than a t-shirt that you would just wear around the house. So I know I launder my clothing, my exercise clothes, every single time after their first use.
Yes.
I will never reuse anything.
That is correct.
I'm a very heavy sweater. I don't even know if I could get back into my clothing after a bout of exercise. I think it would just be so pulverized by moisture that it would be like getting into a wet paper bag.
Yeah, and I'm the opposite. I don't sweat as much, but I still like to change my clothes every time I go out and work out. I'm putting on a fresh pair of shirt, pants, socks, because your body does produce that bacteria that can cause odors. And whether you realize it or not, that stays on the surface of your clothing. So even though it may not smell after your first use, it's still there. And I've also seen some research done on people who wear leggings a lot during their day. If they start to sweat and they wear the leggings throughout the day, they can cause odor, it can cause rashes, discomfort, and it's as simple as putting on a new pair to avoid all of
Yep.
that.
Very similar to how we've been encouraging people to change out their masks every day.
Yes.
Same with your exercise apparel. Wash it, reuse it after that. Now, with all of these new materials that are coming into play, you do need to pay a little bit more attention to how to handle them during washing.
Yeah, so if you check the tag of the clothing, it'll tell you the care instructions. The ones that are specifically odor resistant or hydrophobic to where it repels water, sometimes it says on the tag to not use softener with it because a softener can actually break down those technical fabrics, and over time, though they're not going to be able to produce anti-odor or anti-wrinkle because of the harsh fabric.
And same with some of those ecstatic materials. They'll be referenced as hang dry only.
Yes.
Because of when they're thrown into the heat of the dryer will actually break down some of that heavy metal that's been woven into the fabric.
That's correct. And I've also heard of even some dry fit material type clothing holding odor. And there's been recommendations of if you do find yourself in that predicament where the odor isn't going away after a wash, that you can actually soak it in vinegar beforehand and then throw it in, wash it as usual, and that generally helps get those extra odors out.
So a lot of information about different types of materials, a lot of different care instructions to focus on if you want to lengthen out and make the best use of the athletic apparel that you've purchased. We know it's not cheap. And we're about to get into that with a number of different brands, what they're known for, the price range, and we'll wrap it up with some of our recommendations based on what you participate in.
So the first brand we're going to talk about is Nike. Everybody knows the name, everyone knows the logo, everyone knows the saying, just do it, all that good stuff. So fun fact about Nike, it owns dry fit clothing, and it's thought that Nike initially started making their shoes, the tread on the bottom, using a waffle iron. And then slowly after seeing how much tread they can get on the bottom of the shoe, they shifted to more advanced technology to get that grip. But fun fact, waffle iron.
Also named after I believe, a Greek goddess.
That is correct.
Greek goddess Nike. Nike's been around for a long term. I think they've become pretty standard in the industry. Yeah. Everybody knows that swoosh check mark. I know way back when, I think I was in third grade, every year the school would put out a T-shirt for every student to wear at graduation.
Yeah.
And Nike was probably at its peak. Michael Jordan was wearing the Air Force Ones.
Yeah.
This was early 1990s. And we wanted to involve and incorporate Nike somehow. Obviously, we couldn't. We were a little elementary school and weren't going to use the rights. So instead of the term just do it, they printed just did it.
Just.
And they flipped the Nike logo backwards.
Oh my gosh. Loopholes.
Yeah, loopholes. That's my short story about Nike in the third grade.
Oh gosh. That's a pretty fun story.
Yeah,
I
it
like
is.
that.
I do like Nike. I wear personally a little bit of their clothing, mostly their athletic shirts. Very comfortable to stay outside in, teaching water aerobics.
And Nike has a good variety, whether it's color, fit, feel, design. I'm a huge fan of Nike because I like matching my shirt with my shoes or just accessories here and there. So Nike has a huge range of options, and you can find Nike in just about any store you'd go into. Next up, we have Under Armour. Under Armour was originally created by a gentleman here in the States. And Under Armour was actually one of the first companies to start selling moisture-wicking apparel to athletes.
Under Armour is relatively new to the scene as well.
Yes, it is a newer company.
They started in the early 2000s, very late 1990s, and it was cool at the time. You were cool if you were wearing Under Armour in high
Yes.
school.
Do you know how they picked out how to spell armor?
I assume based on armor from the Middle Ages?
No. So when they originally were coming out with a phone number that people could contact the company for, the creator thought it'd be easier to use the U, as in the British spelling of armor, and also the original American spelling of armor was already taken.
Ah, interesting.
So just adding in the U, making it a little different, but tying in the name of the company.
And that's how we all know it nowadays. Under Armour, very similar to Nike in that most sports apparel locations, your Target, your Walmarts are going to carry Under Armour. All across the world, this is a brand that's recognized.
Yes,
One of the big ones.
that is correct.
So another relatively new contender to the scene, and this is moving into that higher level of athletic apparel, some of the more expensive and boutique,
Yes.
some may say. Lululemon Athletica, and also Athleta, which is just for females. Lululemon came out of British Columbia, again, early 2000s. Their name has been somewhat controversial just because of the pronunciation of Lululemon. Price range on garments are going to be well beyond what they are for anything from Nike, Under
Yes.
Armour, and some of the other brands.
That's correct.
And it was originally yoga
Apparel.
wardrobe
Yeah.
to begin with. That company is now branched off into running, cycling, amongst other sports.
Yeah, they include more men's clothing now as well. It's not just for ladies.
And the reason for their success, the owner contributes to one piece of integral material that he incorporated into women's yoga pants.
Aha.
And that, I believe it's called the grommet.
Grommet.
So traditionally, prior to
yes.
Lululemon, spandex leggings were two pieces, the
Yes.
right leg and the left
Left
leg
leg.
sewn right down the middle. Lululemon incorporated the grommet, which is right in the diamond shape, right in the crotch region, which made wearing the pants, the leggings, much more comfortable.
Yeah, people are different shapes and sizes. Having a line going straight down the middle is not going to be comfortable for everybody.
So that little diamond made somebody a billionaire.
It did. And now I would say just about almost any type of legging you look at now has that grommet.
Only one originated, but a lot have replicated.
That is true.
So moving on to some of our other brands, Adidas is another name in the game that's been around for some time. Adidas was first a footwear brand
Mainly, yes.
established in the early 1900s. So again, they've been around a while, longer than Nike,
Yes, correct.
much longer than Under Armour,
Yes.
and much longer than Lululemon.
So they're very well known for, just like if you look on my pants, the three stripes. Three stripes in their logo, three stripes on their gear. Very recognizable thing of their clothing and
And
items.
what some may not understand is that Adidas stands for something.
It does.
All day I dream about sports.
Ha
How fitting for an athletic apparel
Super
brand.
awesome. Yes.
Personal observation, I think it's bigger and more recognizable in the European market.
Yes, that's correct.
And that is where it originated, whereas Nike, Under Armour, stateside, Lululemon, Canada, Adidas, Europe.
Yeah, and Adidas more so than athletic wear. People were really looking at it for a fashion statement.
Now, Reebok is another one from outside the country, a European brand, and it means African gazelle.
That is correct.
So I assume that if I put on anything Reebok, I'm going to move very
Fast.
quick.
You would hope so.
Now, however, I have never worn anything Reebok.
Really, I have. I used to have they came out, they were the first ones to come out with like the pump in your
Oh,
shoe
yes.
to add the air. And I used to have those, and the way they would advertise it was, oh, you're gonna jump higher, run faster. And they had like this fun one where if you click the button, you had to jump at one point and it would tell you how high you jumped. And I had them in like second grade, and you would just see me clicking them and bouncing up. And it's like, did I get any higher?
Reebok Pump.
Oh, yeah.
I do remember those. And I remember always wanting a pair when I was in middle school. My parents would never buy them for me. Maybe someday I'll get the Reebok Pump.
Yeah, I think they've lost popularity over the years. to be
They
honest.
brought them back maybe 5 or 6 years ago. I think it was
really?
more of a publicity stunt than anything.
Yeah.
Reebok was bought out by Adidas in the
Correct.
early 2000s, so it is still its own independent company. Reebok still operates, but they're under the greater Adidas umbrella.
True.
So Reebok has really grown itself to become synonymous with the sport of CrossFit. CrossFit is functional training performed at a high intensity. Every year there is a Reebok CrossFit Games, and very similar to how Nike is very closely tied in with basketball, Reebok is tied in with the sport of CrossFit.
That is true. All righty, so now that we've talked about a couple of the more common brands of athletic clothing, let's talk about our performance options. So how do your clothes fit and feel? What features do they come along with, and what are their prices? So when you're picking out athletic wear, you want something that's going to be comfortable for you. You're going to have to move around a lot depending on your workout. You want to make sure you're not going to be distracted by having to pull your shorts or pants down or feel like it's too tight in the arms and you can't get full range of motion when you're doing exercises. So try your clothes on before you purchase them. And if you don't like them, either exchange them, return them, trade them out. Don't settle for, oh, I paid this much money for it and I don't want to go back and return it. Get something that's going to work for you and feel comfortable so you can use it long term.
Yeah. Usually if you invest money into something and you find that you really enjoy wearing it, you're going to enjoy participating in whatever activity that you intended to purchase it for.
Exactly.
So for the gentleman, a couple things that I would recommend focusing in on based on my own experience is one, short length. The shorts come with a number of different inseam lengths, whether it be 7 inches, 9 inches, I think 12 inches is another option. I prefer the one where the cut is right above the knee. I don't like my shorts riding over my knee. Now there's also a number of different waistbands on athletic apparel for men. Kind of that old style ruffle with the drawstring, and then the larger, thicker, flat waistband.
Yes.
I'm not sure if that has a particular name. I'm not one who's partial to the flat waistband. I like the older ruffle with the drawstring.
See, I
feel.
feel like the ladies are opposite because it just accentuates the way you look.
See, and the gentlemen don't like the thicker one because we have love handles that hang over it, and it accentuates the love handles, myself included. And then for the upper body t-shirts, I'm not partial to when I extend my arms up overhead and the shirt raises up and shows my stomach. But in Florida, again, if I'm doing something outside, it's rare that I'm going to have a shirt on because it just gets saturated within the first couple minutes.
Yeah. A couple things that I'm picking about when I go out and try out clothes is look at the brand that you've selected because the sizing in each brand can be very different. So say I wear a size 2 in Adidas, when I go to Lululemon, their sizing chart is completely different and I wear a 6. So don't automatically assume that one size in one brand is exactly the same size in another brand. And again, look at your technical materials. Some may fit tighter at first and you kind of need to break them in. Some may be loose fitting. When I select my shorts in particular, I always look for shorts that aren't going to ride up too much so when I don't have to keep pulling them down, something that's going to fit comfortably on the waist. Generally, I do prefer that it has a drawstring waistband because if you need to adjust, it's as easy as tying a knot in it, loosening it up, all that good stuff. When it comes to tops, depending on the type of top you're buying, if I'm wearing something with sleeves, I don't like the sleeves to be too long because they can get a little bit distracting. And
Same.
yeah, and I don't like when they're tight on my armpits because then that's all I think about. I just walk around and I'm like, this is tight in my armpits. I'm not going to have a good time. So finding something, again, that just makes you feel comfortable and you don't have to think about what you're wearing is going to be the perfect selection.
Yeah, so next time you are out shopping and you want to treat yourself to some new athletic clothing, get in there and try it on. As even though we listed a lot of different materials and they're so standard in how they feel and operate, each company is still going to utilize those materials differently. So a nylon shirt made by Nike may have a completely different feel than a nylon shirt made by Adidas.
That's correct.
Give yourself the time to try it out, and if you find one that you like, say you really like the feel of a Nike shirt, you can bank pretty well on consistency at that point.
Yeah, and don't be afraid that when you finally find something you really, really like, buy two. Buy them in different colors. Because then when you go out and you have to find clothing, you're kind of stuck to the beginning of the circle where you're like, oh, now I have to find something that's comfortable. Where when you were shopping previously, you're like, I know this fits. I know I like the way this looks. Buy it in a different color, change up your options, so then you don't have to go through the whole process when you're shopping again for new items.
Yep. And fortunately, buying multiple of the same is much more fun than it used to be. It's not, okay, I'm gonna have a closet of red, green, black, and blue.
Yeah.
But now the patterns that have been incorporated into a design have really made it more enjoyable to have multiple of the same. I know for me, I have probably 15 to 20 pairs of the same shorts, but they're not the same because they're all different patterns and colors.
Exactly, and you know every time you put them on, you're gonna like the way they fit.
Same feel, same size, everything about them is the same except for the way they look.
That's true.
So where are we gonna get these?
Just about anywhere, I'd say. Anywhere that sells clothes, you're gonna find an athletic department, rack, whatever you wanna call it.
Yeah. You go over to Coastland Mall down the road here, you're gonna have Dillard's, you're gonna have Macy's, JCPenney, I think they're still hanging on over there. Each one is gonna have its own independent athletic area. And again, the big names you're gonna see, no doubt about it. You'll have Nike, Under Armour, what have you. Some of the more boutique, higher quality per se brands like Lululemon and Athleta, you're going to have to source elsewhere, either online or from their own physical store.
Yes, that's true.
I believe Waterside Shops has both a Lululemon and Athleta at this point in time. Athleta more geared towards the women. I don't think they have any male clothing at all.
And then if you're looking for clothing that may be a little more specific for an activity, you can go to a large department store that's athletic specific, like Dick's Sporting Goods.
So they're going to break it down for you. Examples only. You want to play football, you need some football clothing, they've got a section for that. You're a baseball player, you need baseball clothing, they've got a section for that.
Tennis, golf, swimming.
She's stealing my jokes, folks.
Kayaking.
Kayaking. Columbia.
Yes.
Future episode, outdoor clothing.
Yes. Lots of fun stuff.
Columbia and Salt Life.
A lot of different ones. Eddie Bauer. There's so many brands.
For any of you outdoors folks, just head over to West Marine. Now, physical stores are not the only location to purchase from. Every one of these vendors has an online presence, whether it be through their direct website or through a larger distributor like Amazon.
Yeah, Walmart, Target.
Yep. For more tech-savvy individuals who want to try to find something on a deal, I know I purchase all of my athletic clothing through Poshmark, which is an application on your cell phone. We had a great episode earlier in the year about cell phone applications, but it's called Poshmark, Poshmark. You're able to type in what your size you're looking for, and you're able to find out all about people who are trying to sell their used clothing.
gently used.
Gently used clothing, that's right. I'm very particular, but I'm okay wearing somebody else's clothing if it's only been worn a couple times.
Yeah, there's nothing wrong with that. They have stores like Plato's Closet. I think that's one of the main ones. Goodwill even. Or if you were trying to find athletic wear at a reduced price that's still brand new, you could go to Marshall's, TJ
Yeah.
Maxx, Ross. They all have great, great, great prices and great selections as well.
So we know the types, we know where to get them. We've spoken price a little bit. The traditional brands, Nike, Under Armour, what have you, a t-shirt or a pair of shorts is probably going to run anywhere in the $30 to $50 range. The boutique level, Lululemon, Athleta, for a pair of shirt and a pair of shorts, you're going to be looking more in that $50 to $70 range.
If not more.
Yeah, the yoga pants from Lululemon might cost you upwards of $100, $150.
Yeah.
So it is an investment. However, comfort is worth it. And the more that you pay, the higher quality you can expect.
Yeah.
And I think those expectations hold true for those companies.
And it also may depend on the features that your clothing comes with. Like, do your pants have pockets? Are they reflective? Do they have that adjustable waistband? Is it fitted? Does it provide any compression, any protection from the sun, ventilation, thermal? All that stuff will play into the price of the product.
So I'm actually wearing Lululemon pants right now, and one of the features on the pants that I never thought that I would use, however, has come in incredibly useful, is in my, under the pants, they roll up very easily, and there is a reflective strip built right into the side. So if it's raining out and you need a little extra reflection on your walk from the car into the store or into the house, you can roll these up and you're going to get seen.
I actually have a pair like that too from Lululemon. I'm not wearing them right now, but if you just roll it up right on the border, there's that reflector. So
Yeah.
I wore them. I put those Lululemon leggings on to walk my dog last night. It was starting to get dark. I always like to keep a flashlight, but again, having that reflective option can make you feel a little safer doing activities like
Yeah,
that.
never thought we would need that. You probably never thought those even existed until you're told. And that's when you realize, I need those pants.
And yeah, once you buy one, it's kind of hard not to buy
Yeah.
another one.
So a lot of the features, the little details really take the clothing to the next level.
Yeah, it's like cup holders in a car.
Can never have too many.
Can never have too many.
Who knows? I travel to work with 4 cups a day.
Wow, that's a lot. I only
Can
max
never have
two.
too many.
I think max 2 for me.
So a lot of different features, a lot of different reasons to focus in and stay in tune with the different clothing brands.
Yeah.
Because they're not all created equal.
They're not.
So I'll reiterate one of my earlier statements where if you're looking for purchasing new exercise clothing, invest the time, invest some additional money to make sure that you get something that's comfortable and unique to your own taste.
Yeah, and again, if it doesn't fit, if you don't like it, send it back, exchange it. You're putting your money and your time into buying this product. It should be something that you're going to enjoy fully.
If you have any other questions about athletic apparel, you can always email us at moringsparkwellness@gmail.com, or you can approach us up at either of the wellness centers. Myself specifically, I can talk all day about Lululemon. You come and have a conversation, I'm happy to retort.
And I can talk about shoes, any type of shoes, all day, every day.
Daniela is your athletic shoe aficionado.
Yes, I have too many.
Well, it's been a pleasure, Daniela, having you on as my co-host on your first official Talking Wellness.
Thank you, thank you, thank you.
And until next time, Mornings Park, I'm your host, Robert Sorensen.
And I'm Daniela Lorio.
Be well, Mornings